I am Hannah. I'm from the sales team here at Minute. Definitely want to welcome everybody today from wherever you're tuning in from to this webinar on the Guest Connect feature from Minute. Also joining me on this call will be Kent, who is part of the product team and was a center part of designing this tool. So he will be an excellent person to direct questions to and to get information from as well. So it's going to be me for this first half and for the introduction and to go through a general overview. And then we will also have Kent joining us towards the end, like I said, for your questions. And yeah, I guess we can start from here. So the agenda today, we will go into Guest Connect from a point of view of what it is, and then we will go into a point of view of how it works. Then we'll speak about the integrations that Minute has currently with property management systems, and then also what exciting ones we have in the pipeline coming up. Then there will be loads of time for questions and answers, and I will also be giving a brief demo of our Minute web app and showing how in actuality we can set up a Guest Connect features, how we can set up scheduled messaging, and just give you a rundown of how it would look potentially for your own business. So the next slide here, we have Guest Connect from a point of view of what it is. So basically, it is Minute's automated communication to guests. The point of it is to quickly resolve noise complaints, to prevent damages to parties as well, and to improve guest experiences. And we're doing that through scheduled messaging. So these will be including before check-in messaging, during the stay, and then after the checkout as well. There also will be a run through here of how we can send guest messages directly when there is a disturbance in the property too, to avoid extra effort being put in from the property manager to actually have to intervene. So the point of the Guest Connect is to bring down time spent by property managers trying to communicate disturbances once it's brought to their attention to the guest, and just kind of bypass that whole process and bring the notifications directly to the guest through integrations with property management systems. That's how we have the contact information for the guests and how we can actually send these SMSs and phone calls and make those shortcuts. So I would like a bit of interaction here if I could. Have you had noise issues in your rental property? So I'm going to try to put up a poll here. If you have had issues in your rental property with noise, I'd love to hear it. And also if you haven't, it's interesting both ways. I'm going to set up this poll now and hopefully it will work. And I don't think that the answers are going to appear for you guys, but I do have some answers coming in, which is great. I might just give it like 1 or 2 more minutes. Oh, there's a bit of a mixed bag so far. And not too sure if we have an answer from everyone. But yeah, seems like a bit of a mixed bag. Definitely some yeses in there and also some no's. Oh, still some answers coming in. Either way, with disturbances, the Guest Connect tool is really helpful for, whether you want it to be a shortcut when you get noise disturbance or whether you want to use it as a tool to send your guests information before check-in. Both reasons are extremely useful. And I think we actually have landed on 50-50 here. Well, we 57% no and 43% yes at the moment. So definitely very interesting answers. Let me go to the next slide. So how the Guest Connect works. There are a couple of different levels to this. The first one we've mentioned here is the flash and sound feature, which is a feature that we use. Either it can be used at the beginning of the sequence of events when there is a disturbance, or else it can be used towards the end as, kind of like a final resort. It really depends on kind of the brand of the property manager and what way they would like to use it. Basically, it does what it says on the tin, in that the device will actually light up and make a noise when there is when it is triggered, so that it's very hard for the guest to actually ignore, and it doesn't go unnoticed, basically, because there is obviously a chance, if there is loud partying or whatever happening, that potentially the guest is not looking at their phone. So this can be used as a really good way to ensure that the notification is definitely not missed. SMS to guests, then, that does what it says on the tin as well. So we can get the phone number of the guest from the property management system, from the booking. And when there is a noise disturbance, as a first port to call, text message can go to the guest to say, whatever you wanted to say. But as a general example, you could say, hey, we understand there may be some kind of loud noises coming from the apartment that you're staying in. If you wouldn't mind keeping it down, it would be greatly appreciated by our neighbors. And that can be enough to stop a disturbance in its tracks, because sometimes guests are just like, oh, we definitely didn't realize, and it's great to know, and then that's the end of it. Other times it requires a couple more either text messages, or the final example here, an auto call, which would include a text chosen by the property manager in whatever language you prefer as well, to be read out by a like a bot call, so that we can call the guest if the texts are not being answered or received, I would say. And then the call can be, maybe would get the attention instead. And yeah, you can choose what it says, basically, and customize it to whatever you guys would like to say. Usually that is a very good way of stopping things as well, but obviously you can always resort to flash and sound if the other two methods don't work. Next slide. So this is an example of a chain of events that would happen typically, that we see potentially the most popular sequence. So this graph shows the threshold that we set, or you guys set as property managers, which I'll also show you in the next part of this presentation, how to set your noise thresholds. To set this red dotted line, this one's set at 90 decibels, which is quite high. And these are our noise levels coming from the apartment. So this is a very loud noise, but it's also over very quickly. So it's basically nothing to worry about. It may have been just something spontaneous that happened that was loud, but it's obviously not a party because it has also ended very quickly. So you would not get notified for this. We don't need to worry about it. What we do need to worry about is noise that gradually gets louder and also stays loud. So this first trigger would be after, for example, 10 minutes, if that's the threshold that we set. And what would happen after the first 10 minutes of this noise is that there would be a notification sent to your team, whoever you have nominated to get the notification. It could be multiple people, whoever is the relevant person for that apartment at that time. And also an SMS will be sent to your guest. That's the first port call. Obviously, as well, the option to do the automatic call and the flash and sound all in the first part of the sequence is definitely there too. But we would see more typically that after another 10 minutes, if things have not calmed down, the first two notifications are sent again to the team and also to the guest, and then we would see an automatic call being sent to the guest too. So hopefully, if they don't see the text, then they will see the phone call come through, and then hopefully 9 times out of 10 that will be enough to stop whatever's happening. If though it is the anomaly and there is they don't see the call or the text, or potentially they don't want to pay attention. Then after the next 10 minutes, which will be 20 minutes altogether, we can do all three of those things again. And then also the flash and sound feature, which is pretty much guaranteed to stop any and to at least get the attention of the guests, because it's very difficult to ignore the device lighting up and making the noise in the room. So you're pretty safe to know that whatever's happening will end with these three steps. And like I said, you can swap and change if you would like to see something happening earlier or later or not at all. It's all optional and customizable to your brand. The next slide then, this is showing our scheduled messaging. So we can send guests a welcome message, we can share important information, we can thank guests for their stay. I'm going to show in the web app how we can set this all up. It's very, very simple. And also you can customize it to say exactly what you want. So regardless of whether you have a guest that ends up being a disturbance or not, you can use this feature of the Guest Connect from Minute to welcome every guest. So, regardless of whether you have to intercept a disturbance or not, the Guest Connect feature can just give that extra kind of piece of care. And also you can customize these to say exactly what you want for each individual apartment. So they can get key codes, Wi-Fi codes, thank you messages, whatever's relevant. And also, as often as you like as well. So moving on then to the next poll. Thank you everyone for your answers in the last poll. Now let me see if I can get the next one up. I want to ask if you guys have a PMS system, so property management system, or a smart lock in your company. So that should be sharing now. I really appreciate your answers. I'm actually going to turn on the light here because the sun's going down as we speak. Okay, so we've got mostly yeses so far for PMS systems, for smart locks, more PMS systems, more smart locks. Not too many answers saying both yet, and no answers saying neither. So we definitely see the presence of at least one or the other. And thank you for your answers there. I would be also interested to know what property management systems you're actually using, and same goes for the smart locks. The next slide I have here is to talk about what we have currently integrated with. So we have Zapier, Fantastic Stay, Guesty, Smoobu, Igloo Home, Uplisting, Hostfully, Hostaway, and Booking Sync. So our partnerships team have been putting in huge work here to get all of these up and running already, and the work has continued and is continuing because we have a huge lineup as well. What the next slide I'm going to show is what we have kind of coming up in the immediate future, but I think I would be safe to say it's only a taste into what we actually are working on in the medium to long term as well. So coming soon, we have IGMS, Nuki, Sync B&B, Apelio, Beds24, Cirrus, could be saying these wrong as well, so apologies, Toki, Tado, and Hostfully. So that is just the peak of the iceberg really there. Let us know if you're using the ones that we already have or the ones that are coming up, and if it's not there as well, we'd love to hear from you too about anything else that you guys are using, and we'll see if we already have it on our list or not. So questions and answers. I'm actually going to not go into questions and answers just yet. I'm going to skip to the demo of the web application, because just in case some of the questions are related to that, I might answer them there, and then we can see how we go. So let me just see. Yes, share please, window, web app. Now, bear with me. Okie dokie. So what I've done is literally just gone to Google and put in web.minute.com here and logged into my demo account. So this is a dummy demo account that I use for this exact reason. When we come into the dashboard, this is the first landing page of the web app that we can see. So if I'm a property manager, I can see that there's no noise events currently happening. There's no crowds detected. If there's anything offline or with low battery I need to attend to, it will appear here. And any latest events that have happened, I can see. If I go over to my homes here, then I can see kind of the status of everything in an overview, and then what I have turned on. On my sensors list, then I have a lot of sensors here that I've bought all in one go, and I want to set them all up with noise thresholds all together because I don't want to do them individually because I have a lot here. So to save me doing any individual edits, I just select all, go to my noise monitoring settings. I want to be notified always about noise. For the noise thresholds, like how to decide on what to set, you can do a certain amount of trial and error with these with your device, obviously, to see maybe in relation to environmental sound in or outside of the apartment or house, what's kind of the baseline, but that's not necessarily needed either. It's just maybe in some special cases you might want to do that. But I would say that we give you some really solid guidelines here of what to expect. So anything between 60 and 90 decibels could be like dinner party to party levels. So you don't need to know anything at all about decibels to figure this one out. During the day, I would say we could be a bit more on the higher side because 9 times out of 10, it is not that big of a deal to have daytime noise. In certain scenarios, it is a big deal. You could have neighbors working from home, very sensitive, that would rather, no noise during the day or night. That's absolutely fine too. But we would say maybe 80 during the day. You'd need a loud party to trigger that, but daytime noise is usually not as much of an issue. So you can do this as you like, but I would say that's a good one for the daytime. And then the quiet hours, you may or may not have quiet hours on your listing, your house rules. So we could say between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. we want it to be more sensitive because we do care about nighttime noise a lot more. So 70 is actually a good one for the nighttime, and then 80 during the day. And then the duration of this noise, anything between 5 and 15 minutes is what we would recommend, because anything below 5 minutes could de-escalate itself, may not require a reaction. And then anything over 15 minutes, you might run into territory of when the neighbors would respond. So anything between 5 and 15, 10 is pretty good. Save for everything. And then that's all of your threshold set for noise for all of your properties. Then if we go to settings here, I just want to also show you this. This relates to the slide I showed you on the sequence of events that happens each 10-minute interval after we've set up our noise settings. So above threshold for the set duration, we can have an SMS to guests that's sent. We can completely edit what we want this text to say. So, hi there, we hope you're enjoying your stay. We've detected noise levels that are higher than allowed in this home. If you could please keep down the noise, we'd appreciate it. So that would be sent after the first 5 or 10 minutes, whatever you prefer. And then we can decide if we want the auto call and the flash and sound as well on the first, or else we can do it on the second or third. So then this is the second trigger. So after the next 5 or 10 minutes, the text can be sent again, the auto call if we want to turn that on, the flash and sound if we want that to happen. But otherwise, we can leave the flash and sound off until the last one. So this is the final step after the 20 minutes. The SMS to guests can be sent again, the auto call can be sent again. The flash and sound could also be engaged here, so that we really are sure that we have the sequence set up as we would like it to happen, and anything that is occurring will definitely be de-escalated from those factors. Another thing, then, the guest connect. So I set this up earlier, but it's easily, engaged or unengaged. So these are the messages that you can send to your guest before check-in, during check-in, during the stay, after the stay. You can totally decide. So this is it. And these are regardless of whether they're going to be, in any problematic scenario, as in they don't need to be a guest that's causing a noise disturbance for them to obviously benefit from receiving these messages. And you can also mention the noise monitor in these messages too, if you really want to deter any partiers. You could say, by the way, this home, if you didn't see in the bio information, this home includes a minute. So, if there is noise, we will obviously know, and we will let you know by sending you messages and calls, and the device itself could light up. That would definitely be a wise thing to let the guests know, that that's the measures that will be taken if there is a break of the house rules. And then our integrations page here is the same as what I've shown, but it is a list of everything that we have, and it's really easy to set up your integrations as well. For example, if we have a guesty integration, we come in here, we will give you guys an API key, and you connect it really simply here in the web app. So I'm going to go back to our chat and just see what questions potentially have come through. I'd also like to potentially introduce Kent at this point, who is part of our product team and was instrumental in designing this this platform and this feature of Guest Connect, and overall very knowledgeable about everything to do with Guest Connect. So let's just see here. Hi, Kent.
Hi everyone. Good to see you all.
And let me see what's come through. Okay, so there's one here. Would it be better to turn off flash and sound so that the guests don't try to cover or damage the Minute device? So that's a good question. There is also a tamper detection on the device, which is a good thing to note, and not something that was brought up here. If your guest decides to take the device off of its mounting plate for any reason, you'll know immediately. So you'll know exactly, the date and time and potentially what guest it was because of the booking information. So I wouldn't worry too much about that one. Also, to note that if it's taken down off of its plate, it does continue to, gather noise because it's just installed on the plate. It is obviously battery operated, so it is continuing to monitor the environment. The noise, the decibel monitoring capacity could be a bit muffled if it's like covered with something, but you will know straight away if it is taken off of its plate, so that you can intervene and send, let them know, hey, we know that it's been taken off its mounting plate, can you please put it back up? And you can decide on if there's consequences or whatever you might want to do. But yeah, basically you'll still get a reading and you'll know exactly when and if it happened. And also, like, the idea of the device being installed on the ceiling is partially for this reason too. It's like in the same position as potentially a fire alarm. It's quite out of reach, it's out of sight. But I do understand when the flash and sound happens, it will be brought into sight, but the flash and sound will stop quite promptly after the noise is also reduced. So like the answer for them to make it stop is just to make the noise quiet down, and then they won't need to touch the device at all.
Yeah, and another thing that I've heard here from a lot of customers is actually that the guests don't mean to be noisy. They are just unaware. So most of the times they actually just need a little prompt, and sometimes it's like the TV, it's too loud, so they don't want to be noisy. They're just a bit unaware sometimes of the house rules.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say in the same breath, Kent, that's why most of the noise disturbances are reduced after the initial steps of a text
Exactly.
message and a
Exactly.
call. Yeah, so it's only if there's something major that flash and sound would even be engaged, depending on what time in the sequence that you want to have it go off. But usually it doesn't come to that, but it is a very effective way when it does come to that as well. And the same question, sorry, another question from the same person: how does the system know the guest's cell phone number? So hopefully I answered that in the presentation, but basically it's through the PMS integrations. So the property management system integration, the guest information would be up on the property management system. Minute can integrate with that system, and getting the guest contact information is the main aspect of that integration. So we can make the calls and the texts and save you guys the hassle of having to do that when there's a disturbance.
Yeah, and another point here, I think that another question that touched a little bit on this from Lauren, thank you.
Yeah.
It's that you can also add a guest manually if you want to. So you just, it's fairly easy. You just go into the home you want to, and then you can add a guest and set it up with their number. And then, yeah, we'll use the SMS to guest to that guest if it's noisy.
Exactly. And exactly in the same breath, if you don't have a property management system, you can upload your guest contact information manually, like Ken said. And also the flash and sound feature wouldn't require a property management system integration, just as a side note, because obviously it's not directly calling or texting anyone. The device itself is lighting up. So it is a pro feature that doesn't require an integration. It's just like an add-on to a step that you might want to take, if the calls and texts are not being adhered to. But yeah, it doesn't require a specific integration. So could be a good one to note if you don't yet have a property management system, or else if you're considering which one to get, you can try out flash and sound either way and manually upload your guest information. So there is options as well. So Andreas's question here: when you're setting the decibel levels, I noticed that it says notify me. If we've multiple people receiving alerts, say the property owner and the property manager, would it alert both of us, or does each person have to set their notification settings differently? Will I give that one to you, Kent, or will I answer
Yeah,
it?
sure. I can take it. No, it will notify everyone. So you just need to set this up once, and everyone you have invited to the app, the members will be notified when the noise is above the threshold.
And presumably, if you didn't want that everyone to be notified, you could just opt out as well.
Yeah, so you can turn off with like your normal settings in your phone. You can turn off notifications completely if you wish to do that. Definitely.
Thank you, Kent. And another question here: who carries the charges for the text? I know the answer, but I'll leave it to you, Kent.
Yeah, so the text come from Minute, and the charges is also covered by Minute. It's included in the pro rate. Not sure if you have anything to add to this one, Hannah.
No, just that in the same question, there was also, can you call with different languages?
Yes, you can. So in the autocall, which works like you can enter a text if you want. So we will call the guest when it's noisy, and it will basically call their phone and read up the text that you have written. We have also specified a text as a default, so you don't even have to write the text if you don't want to. But if you would like to have it in a specific language, we would auto detect what language it is, and then the bot that calls the guest when they're noisy will read that text up in their in the language that you have written it in.
Nice, thank you, Kent. So if I don't have a PMS, would I have to manually message guests? So hopefully we answered that one. But the option to enter your guests' contact information, or your guest information manually is there. So that would be a good option. And also, yeah, the flashing sound works without a PMS as well. And I think another question that's already potentially been answered is, can you have multiple contact people for these alerts? Example, husband, wife of guest, family. And the answer would be yes, you can send the notifications to who has the app. So like as in on the property manager side. If that's the right answer.
Yeah, you can add as many phone numbers as you'd like to.
Mm-hmm. And who does the number come from when it calls the guest?
So it comes from Minute now. It will say Minute in the description.
Yes, and it'll come up as the name of the contact, so the
Yeah,
guests
exactly.
know exactly who it came from. So they'll know that it was like the noise device contacting them, not just like a unknown text. Let's see, what else have we got here? Can you go more into what instances you would use scheduled messaging? Can you go more into what instances you would use scheduled messaging for, if not noise?
Mm-hmm. Good question. So we've noticed that instead of sending a wall of text to your guest, which is a lot of information to take in when they want to travel, it's better to send them bite-sized information instead. So, for example, before they check in, it's really good to just send them a bite-sized information about where the property is, what the access code is, for example. We have an integration with Igloo Home, a lock self check-in lock, for example. So then we can send a lockbox code to the guest, and basically that's it. The before check-in message, and then when they have arrived to your property, then it's a good idea to send a Wi-Fi, for example, maybe some of your house rules, and then before they check in, it's really good to say what time the checkout is, so they don't miss that, and also the cleaning rules, for example. So we prefer to chop this information in small pieces, so the guest don't get a wall of text. So it's a bit kinder to the guest.
Thank you, Kent. And another question here, when you enter your guest contact information manually, do we also enter the dates of their stay so that we can get the pre-check-in messages, checkout instructions, etc.? And yeah, the answer would be yes there, Kent, right?
Yep, yes, good question, and that's correct.
I think we may have answered all of our questions. I'm just going to go back up in case. There's a question here that says, does Minute connect to Airbnb directly like August does? I'm not too sure. I don't think I'm familiar with August, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so we don't connect to Airbnb directly now. We do work with them and have trials with them. But this is, if there is a request for this, please send them to hello@minute.com. And it's really good we love to hear customer feedback about what they want. And we can look into it. So please send us an email, whoever asked this. Alejandra, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, about lockbox codes, can I set up different codes for different guests? Yeah, you just have to change the message that they would receive or update it, I suppose.
Yeah, so with the Igloo Home integration, all of this is actually automatic. So it changes the lockbox key code with every reservation, actually. And then if you have a PMS system also and a Igloo Home integration, then everything just works automatically. You don't have to do anything at all. Not sure if you wanted to add anything to that, Hannah.
No, it's a cool feature though for this exact obviously for this exact use case, if your code changes, the integration with the lockbox is really, really useful. Is there anything in the web app I missed, Kent, that could be useful to go back over?
We had a few questions about adding guests. Maybe we should show them how to do that.
Yeah.
So that's under homes.
Yeah, let me just go back to my other.
Yep.
So homes here.
Yeah, and then you just click a home. So
Mhm.
the Fell Street, and then you have guests over there. And here you can just add a guest. So
Yeah.
this is the manual way to add a guest. And here, as we had a question before, you can write the check-in date and time and checkout time, and then you fill in the phone number, and then they are in the system, and we'll get all the messages. And if it's noisy, they will be added also. Yeah. Do you think we should also show them the automatic way by using the integrations?
Yeah. Do we have?
Yep. So yeah, none of these are connected to an
Yeah.
integration yet, but I think you would get the gist of it. So basically, you click the property management system you want to connect to, and then the different PMSs have different ways to set up. Some have that you just log in with your account on that PMS, and some other have that you need to paste a code that you get from the API key that you get from the actual PMS system. But once that is set up, all the guests will be automatically fed in to the Minute system and be contacted if there's a noise issue.
Yep. So you would just need to be a guest user and then have your minutes, and then we would supply you with the API key and you're good to go.
Exactly.
Let me see. Does it integrate directly with the lockbox? Oh, sorry, I missed the first start of the question. About lockbox codes, can I set up different codes for different guests? Sorry, we answered that one. Does it integrate directly with the lockbox? If so, which brands? Or does it go through the property management system to talk to the smart lock? So that would be Igloo Home separately at the moment. But we do have more in the pipeline, I think, Kent. Would that be right?
Yep. And if you have any specific brand in mind, don't hesitate to write us. We're very interested in hearing what our hosts and property managers say. So the email is hello@minute.com, and let us know which one you're looking to add. But right now we have Igloo Home integration.
We'll take note of that, Andreas. What smart locks you're using. Hopefully that answers your question as well. If there's any more questions, we're definitely here, but otherwise we may finish up ahead of time because it seems like we have finished ahead of time. You're welcome, Andreas. Thank you for asking the questions.
Thank you so much.
It literally got pitch dark here during this call. Okay, I think we're safe to drop off if we haven't had any extra. And thanks so much for tuning in. And to anyone that watches this in a recording sense in the future, hello and welcome as well. And thanks so much for watching.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's good having you all here.